We do a lot of training, workshops around inclusion and disability, because when we think of inclusion, we look in the widest sense of inclusion. It could be a working dad who needs to leave at 3 o'clock to pick up his kids. It could be someone with a health issue who works better at home some days than having to travel into the office.
What do you prefer, tea or coffee?
Tea.
Okay. Beach holiday or a city break?
City break.
Fine. Cats or dogs?
Cats.
Fine. Netflix binge watch or a board game?
Board game.
Fine. Pineapple on your pizza?
No.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Early bird. Concert or comedy show?
Concert or
Comedy show.
concert.
Concert. Winter snow or summer sun?
Both. Yeah, tricky one.
A tricky one.
Yeah.
Camping or 5-star hotel?
Camping.
Texting or talking?
Talking.
Super. Thank you. Jane, again, I want to show my appreciation. Thank you for coming to the studio. I see you put a considerable effort in to get to us, and hopefully it's worth it. Jane, for my sake and for everybody who's watching and listening, just tell me a bit about what you do and who do you serve?
What do? I essentially try to bridge the gap between health and work, promoting more inclusive workplaces and opening up opportunities for people in employment, for people with long-term health conditions or disabilities, to help businesses get over any barriers there are to employing such people and retaining them.
Wow. Okay.
So that's in a nutshell.
In a nutshell, wow.
what we do.
And I'm sure you got some numbers with regards to the approximate 64 million people that we have in the country. You know, how big, how much of a challenge, what are the kind of numbers surrounding the number of people?
1 in 5 of the world population are classed as having a disability.
Okay.
And of those, many are highly educated. Many are unemployed. So it's not for the want of their skills. And often people that are in employment face challenges, so they're not always sustained in employment, so they're in and out of employment as well.
And is the majority of your work or your focus and your energy, on what side does that lean on? So what I mean to ask is it more on the employer side because they need the help and support and understanding due to policies and all of that good stuff?
Yeah.
Or is it on the employee side where they've got problems, challenges, or a combination?
There's a role to support both. Originally, when I set up Tudor Rose, then I was just coaching employees with long-term health conditions and disabilities, but then I was helping them with more confidence and awareness of their needs and how to communicate those to employers. But then I was sending them back to the same workplaces, and the workplaces also need that same confidence, awareness raising, education.
Of course.
So now we work with both. So we do a lot of training, workshops around inclusion and disability, because when we think of inclusion, we look in the widest sense of inclusion. It could be a working dad who needs to leave at 3 o'clock to pick up his kids. It could be someone with a health issue who works better at home some days than having to travel into the office. So it's inclusion in the widest sense, and we try and work with employers around wellbeing, because we believe that if workplaces do wellbeing in the best spirit of wellbeing, they meet the needs of all their staff all of the time, not just offering a yoga on a Wednesday, for example, and it's linked to the business needs, because if you meet all the needs of your people, then we believe that you meet the needs of your business.
Absolutely.
So there is a role for employers and employees to have the support.
Is it a 50-50 split, or is it more weighted one way or the other?
We tend to do more work with the employees,
Okay.
but we need to do more work with the employers to effectively have less work to do with the employees, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And my commercial head is telling me that's also where the money is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
In an ideal world, there will be always people who would need the coaching support, but we would like that to be funded through the businesses, because that is a barrier for a lot of people, having to fund coaching.
Yeah. Yeah. Having to fund the coaching, putting interventions in place, putting support frameworks into place to suit the needs of the employee.
Yes.
To work at their best potential to deliver for the business. It's a win-win scenario.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think the barrier for small businesses especially is that it's going to cost them a lot of money to put in adjustments, but that is not necessarily the case. Rarely is the case, because there are schemes like the government's Access to Work scheme that a lot of small businesses aren't aware of. So that we help them understand those and raise their awareness about those schemes and reasonable adjustments and what they might be, because most reasonable adjustments that people need do not involve any cost. It's around changing working hours, being more doing flexible working as it needs to be done, be flexible. And if somebody's role can be done at home, then they can do that rather than have days off sick, possibly, because that's happened to a lot of our clients.
So your recommendation is to SMEs, firstly, is don't get scared away by the thought of supporting your staff, because you don't know what you don't know.
No, exactly.
Get the guidance and support from professionals like yourself.
Exactly.
And quite often the solutions could be very low to no cost.
Yeah, mostly they are no cost.
How interesting. I'll dig into that a little bit later, and I'd love to share some of my own experiences around that same kind of thing with working with some of our clients. Before we get into that, what's your biggest challenge in the business? So I'm looking at it, I'm asking you not from working in the business, but working on the business. What's your biggest challenge at the moment?
Well, like lots of small businesses, solopreneurs, it's doing everything yourself or not doing everything yourself. Do that, I do have a team of trusted go-to experts, so I don't do everything myself.
Sure.
So that's one challenge. But when you're in a position to be able to use the services of other small businesses, that's the way to go, I think. And then the biggest problem is, as a small business, getting into other businesses to do the work we want to do with them.
Sure.
To raise their awareness, because we're in competition with bigger businesses that do wellbeing, but that a lot of those work with businesses and give them a package and give them an app, rather than working with the business to look at the business needs first, doing it the other way around.
I understand. Okay, so was there anything else?
Yeah, I forgot the question now.
So what was the challenges? Yeah.
So that's a challenge, getting into working with businesses. And the other challenge is lots of people want the coaching and will benefit from the coaching, but I don't know if you've found this, but in this country we don't reach out so much as other countries for counselling, coaching. We don't see it as part of our everyday things that we do.
We don't have that culture of asking for help.
No, we don't. So unless it's free, we're reluctant to reach out to get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the support that people can get, we all know the state of the NHS at the moment. Waiting lists are so long.
Absolutely.
So a lot of the support that people can get, and it isn't usually around any physical health issue, it's usually stress and anxiety triggered by the workplace because of that health issue
Yeah.
that we're dealing with in the coaching.
Yeah, how interesting. So I'm just gonna reiterate what you've said to make sure I fully understood this. As a leader of the business, the challenge you've got when working on the business is you spread thin, like every SME is. You're doing everything in the
Yeah.
business because you are the team.
Yeah.
That's one part of the team. That's another part of
Yeah.
the team. Then obviously there's the challenge of getting the awareness in the marketplace to let all the other businesses in our area. How big is the geography? Will you work with businesses in South Leeds or in South Yorkshire or in London? How far is your geography?
Well, we can work nationwide because we work on the premises for businesses,
Sure.
if that's what they want, or some other location. And for individuals, for the coaching, we can do that in a mutually convenient location at the workplace or remotely over Zoom, Teams, that
Oh,
sort of thing.
okay. So geography is not a challenge.
So geography isn't a challenge, no. And we have got clients in Scotland, so
Okay, great.
North Scotland.
So we obviously spread thin as an SME. Geography wise, we can work nationally. However, we need more awareness in the market so
Yeah.
people know about us. But then the other challenge comes is that the approach of your competitors seem to be technology first, app first, or that kind of scenario.
That's
where,
ours.
whereas your USP, correct me if I'm wrong, is being more in person.
We're more in person, and also our teams of associates that I work with, we've all got lived and professional experience.
Yeah.
So we know what it's like, and we've worked in organisations before we had businesses.
Yeah.
So we know what it's like as from managers' point of view of staff and from individuals overcoming our own challenges in the workplace.
Sure. Thank you for sharing that. What are you doing to overcome that challenge? So the challenge of awareness. How are you as a business? What's your plan? What's your strategy? What have you done this year?
Well, our strategy is we do face-to-face network. We like to do face-to-face networking
Sure.
because, as everybody knows, there are heaps of coaches or business coaches out there. And that entails lots of things, doesn't it? From looking at the numbers of a business to what we do, looking at the culture of the business and anything in between.
Of course.
And with individuals coaching, there's so much of a range of coaching people can have, and ours is specifically how we can help people manage their health with work better and helping them with coping strategies to do that.
Absolutely. So you're actively networking.
So it's actively networking, articles in publications,
Very good.
and keeping our eyes out on social media of key things to be involved in that we can talk about, such as most recently the Lilac Review,
Okay.
which is the Small Business Britain initiative that they brought the government on board to look at the barriers for disabled-led entrepreneurs,
Okay.
how they've got barriers above other people. We talk a lot about the barriers for women as opposed to men, but then if you've got the intersectionality of disability as well, and that's often seen in the finance sector of getting funding. So it's us keeping abreast of things like that.
Fantastic.
So
Very good.
making an impact there.
Provoking the conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Super. And how's that working for you? Is that generating the results you're hoping for? Are you hitting your targets, or have you got more
we would all like
aspirations?
more business.
Okay.
Yeah, I think looking at well-being and the needs of all staff, etc., because of the economic climate we're in, especially for small businesses, the higher costs of staffing that we have, it's not at the top of the list of priorities, which is understandable. So there's a challenge there for us to get the message across that by doing a lot of things we talk about, that can help the return on investment. It can help save absence costs, recruitment costs.
Absolutely. And do your tell me, I don't know if it's different packages or bespoke packages. Do they tend to be like 6 weeks, 6 months, or in different?
Oh, well, that's a bit of a longer string. A lot of, on the coaching side, a lot of coaching packages out there are for 4 weeks, 6 weeks. For us, it's longer term. It's for as long as the person needs that.
Okay.
So we do have a plan that is 4 weeks, but often it is longer than that, and we can stay with people up to a year.
Okay. Very good.
And a lot of the people that we see for longer, they come to us through access to work funding.
Okay. Okay. How easy is it to get that funding? Do you assist businesses with that funding, or do they?
No. We have an introductory call with people,
Sure.
talk about what their needs are, how we can help them. And then through that discovery call, if we know that they've got a long-term health condition, then we advise them to try access to work, to apply for access to work.
Okay.
And then come back to us.
They come back to us. Okay, fine. So.
And there are organisations out there that, and we do signpost them to others that can help them with that process.
How interesting. So you touched on well-being and NHS. Last year, we were very fortunate to get involved with the NHS campaign, where it was a recruitment campaign appealing to neurodiverse, I suppose, building their neurodiverse workforce, which is really interesting because even though they kind of acknowledged or recognized we're not where we want to be with regards to making sure the NHS and our footprint reflects the society, the community that we live in, they proactively are championing the different people that are already employed in the NHS to say, look, it doesn't matter what neurodivergent trait you have. I've got all whether it's practical things around me or working in a different way. I've got all of the support from my managers and from my teams, so I can still execute, I can still perform, and I can still deliver on all my parts. For me, I thought it was really eye-opening, and it was great to see the NHS really embrace that. Now, they also acknowledge that obviously it'll take time. It's an ambition for it to roll out across the whole region and then the rest of the NHS. But you have to start somewhere.
Yeah, you have to start somewhere.
Yeah. Even though there's bumps in that process, I think there's a good appreciation that, okay, we've started, we've got the conversation, we're not shying away from the conversation. And they're openly promoting that because they recognize they're not getting people to join the recruitment campaigns that are neurodivergent. And there's a lot of people that just sat at home with anxiety thinking, what's the point of me applying to this?
Exactly.
I'm going to get knocked back anyway.
Yeah, this is something we come across with our coaching clients, and the support we offer to business is it does need to start from recruitment right through to interview and then retention.
Of course.
And we advise people right from the start at interview to ask all the candidates, is there anything you need us to do to help you perform at your best? So that will then invite people to share, because a lot of people with disability, especially hidden disabilities, don't like to share their needs because of fear of they won't get the job or they'll get sacked, which I can appreciate. But then if they don't share their needs, how can the employer meet the needs? So it's a two-way.
So a good proportion of the work that we do at Box Media is around the employee experience. And when people ask us, well, where does video fit with regards to recruitment? And we say, well, the starting point is a film to show the culture of the business. If we can communicate, because there's so many things you can document on a paper or on a piece of paper, but suddenly if you can see wheelchair access, if you can see a diverse spread
Yeah.
of people, if you can see people are working from home and in the office, that hybrid working, different ways of working, different environments, it shows so much more than what a paper can communicate.
It
And
does.
what that allows us to do is, to somebody who's sat remote, sat at home, looking to apply for a number of different opportunities, they get a snapshot of, does this organization align with my values, my aspirations, and my thoughts? And it can disqualify the people that it doesn't, and it qualifies the people that does.
Yeah.
So that first round of interviewing, recruitment can be positive, and you can start pulling in or attracting the right kind of people
Yeah.
before you get into induction, onboarding, and then
Exactly.
ongoing engagement and all of that good
Yeah.
stuff.
And I think that's important for everyone, that approach, because especially now, whereas the older generation may have just fitted in with whatever the employers like, the younger generation that are going to be applying for jobs want to look for places that have got the culture they want to work in.
Of course.
And like you say, if that's shown to them before they even get to interview, they can choose whether to apply to those places, can't they?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think the employee experience, that whole topic, theme, and conversation is so important, because it just, as you go down that rabbit hole, it's all about retention. It's all about getting the best out of your team.
Yeah.
If you treat your team and give them the best experience, and people don't feel uncomfortable or stressed or all of that, there's lots of science, and
Exactly.
you'll know a lot more than I do.
Exactly.
But there's lots of science about, if you feel comfortable at work, you'll
Yeah.
perform your best.
Yeah, and that's what we do with our wellbeing training. It's about culture change. Have you got the right environment? Are you clocking in and clocking out, or are you trusting staff to get the job done? Why are you employing people? You're employing someone for their skills that they've got to do the outputs that you want.
Of course. Of course, yeah.
So could they do that from home? Probably, if that suits their needs better.
Absolutely.
But then working at home in isolation isn't for everyone, and it's not for every business either.
Yep.
So having combination of working at home and being in the office sometimes, to form good bonds with colleagues and things.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the same in our business as well. I love when the team's all upstairs together. You have an energy,
Yeah.
especially in the creative space.
Yeah.
You have an energy that you can't kind of like replicate any other
No.
way. We are flexible. Some of our team players, they work. It's a hybrid solution.
Yeah.
So some of them do work at home through the week, and it's on certain tasks. Not all the tasks can be done from home,
No.
just because of the nature of video content, and even though the internet and the technology is getting better, I still think I prefer the energy in the office. So
Yeah.
at least 3 days out of the week, we're all together in the office.
Yeah.
To just to make sure we're aligned.
Yeah. Yeah, and that works well. It gets the best out of your staff if they need to be home early or on certain days, or if it's for school sports day, and everybody's flexible around that, then everybody's happy.
Absolutely. So if you were to rewind 20 years and knowing what you know now, what would you do differently?
Well, 20 years ago, I didn't have my own business.
Okay.
I was working 9 to 5 in an organisation, but I'd like to think I'd be more like younger people are now, about just working in organisations that met my needs more.
So you'd be a bit more vocal?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Yeah. And then directly correlating with that, to a 20-year-old coming out of university or leaving school, getting into an apprenticeship, what advice would you give them in today's workplace?
I think about what's important to you, whether that's in the type of culture you want to work in, the sector you want to work in, and your personal needs, whether that'll be access or family, or to devote time to your hobbies, You don't want to work full time necessarily. Think about all those things and be realistic about your needs. Don't set yourself up to fail by applying for jobs in organisations that won't suit your needs. And then you could be at risk of, well, you wouldn't be happy, and you could be at risk of losing the job, or you decide to leave.
Yeah, absolutely. So a bit of self-reflection.
Yeah.
So I had I was doing a podcast on Monday, and we were talking about something similar, but what Matt was talking about, who was in on Monday, was about helping businesses and coaching businesses for growth. And what he was saying was that you need to find your purpose, and if you don't know your purpose, then why are you growing your business? And are you just doing it for the money? But the money is just, when you get some money and then more money and more money,
Yeah.
it's meaningless. But what's the purpose? What do you need the money to do?
Yeah.
What's the purpose behind it? So listening to what Matt was saying and hearing what you're saying, I suppose it's about thinking internally and understanding, what do you want out of life? What do you want out of that career, whether it's part-time, full-time, and understand, probably dig deeper is probably...
Yes, yeah, because we in a society where we think we've got to chase money. Yes, we've got bills to pay and rent to pay and all of that. But if you can cover that, are you just doing it for the money, or are you really being fulfilled?
Are you being fulfilled? Absolutely. Absolutely. So the advice for youngsters is purpose, which is great. What's your advice for employers?
Work with your colleagues and understand your vision and your business needs, and do all your employees are all on the same page? Do they all have that same understanding? And work with them to develop wellbeing programs that meet everyone's needs, because the more buy-in you get, if people are involved in developing programs, the more buy-in you get.
Absolutely.
And the happier everyone is to meet the needs of the business.
Okay. So just to try and give some extra help and support, is there any particular industry you seem to get more traction in? Is there any particular size of business you seem to work better in? Is it from 0 to 10, 10 to 50, or?
Well, we seem to work more with charities.
Okay.
And I think that's because what we do, if what you do aligns with what a charity has got funding for, then the work is there.
Okay, how interesting.
They're not, so what you do wouldn't be pushed down the list of priorities so much as if a small private business.
Sure. So it seems to align their vision, mission, and because that's where the purpose lives, that aligns with obviously the great work you do. So there's more opportunity to get to that quicker.
There is, yes, but our drive is to be as change makers, and it's the people who you can't reach as easy, the businesses you can't reach as easy, that we want to work with. So that's a challenge.
It's a challenge. Okay. Can I make some suggestions? We do a lot of podcasts like this. We create a lot of content. We work on a number of different channels, LinkedIn in particular, just like how we connected and we have you in today. And I find from the talking to lots of businesses, our clients, and lots of businesses that aren't our clients, is that they're on LinkedIn, but they don't actively use it. They don't, and just like how you mentioned earlier on, lots of businesses are networking. And I used to network many years ago, but I just found that being an SME, that it's not the best use of my time, because that 1 hour or 2 hours travel time there, do the network, travel time back, is a lot. It's a big chunk of the day, and even though it could be early doors. So I just found over the years that digital networking through LinkedIn and putting content out seems to work really well with our own business and the clients that we work for. So I suppose my reflection in listening to our conversation would be, and LinkedIn's great because of how you can use the different criteria to find the different niches.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
You can narrow it down to charities. You can
You can.
narrow it down to the leaders or the management of the charities. And if they're already first degree connections, you can kick that conversation off really quickly with regards to, do you have a 15-minute call, or here's some free information just to start the conversation going.
Yeah.
And we've seen that produce great results. So that's something that we always recommend. Obviously, for every business is different. If it's B2B or B2C, or then depending on what industry they're in, we would recommend different channels. But straight away, just listening to our conversation, that's my thoughts. That
that is something we do to maybe not as much of a degree as you're talking about, but we do our best. Yeah,
fantastic.
So we definitely are active on LinkedIn and the groups, and joining groups that have got our ideal clients there. So
fantastic.
And it is the leaders of small businesses.
Yeah, obviously, because
doing work with other people is great, but they're not the decision makers and the purse strings.
Of course, and hence you need to speak to the leaders of the business, because you'll get their buy-in. Everybody else, it's great, we'll have it, but they're not paying for it, and they don't decide either.
And getting their buy-in filters down through the organisation. So that helps the culture as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Jane, I've covered all my points. Is there anything else that you'd like to share? I know you've come armed with notes, because this is an opportunity to share what you do in our joint networks. When we put this edit together, obviously we'll gift it to you, we'll tag you in on all our content as well. But is there anything else that you'd like to share?
Well, I think we've covered a lot of it, really. But just as to review everything that we've talked about, we're about training leaders and managers through wellbeing and inclusion workshops to navigate all the support that's around there, about inclusive recruitment and retention. And we help them craft workplace bespoke inclusion and wellbeing programs. So it's not just off the shelf.
It's just not it's
tailor-made. There is a role for apps and things like that, but we find through feedback from our clients, coaching clients, those are good for the well. Once you've got to the point of needing coaching, they're not so effective.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I think our listeners and watchers will enjoy and appreciate the good work that you're doing. And for all my network, if there's anybody who's interested to connect with Jane, we'll share all your details in the show notes under all the videos, so they can reach out to you directly. I wish you continued success. Just before we wrap up, in the next, say, 6 to 12 months, have you got any goal or any target that you're working towards?
Just to have more clients and get more individuals back into work if they're off sick, and get more organisations knowledgeable about everything that's around to support them recruiting people with long-term health conditions or disabilities.
Fantastic. Well, what I'd like you to do then, if that's okay, is in 6 months' time, message us on LinkedIn, because that's the channel we're both on. Tag us into your wins. We've just won this contract. We've helped X number of employees understand their rights and what they can access through in the workforce. And if there's anything that we can help and support you with on that journey, then just reach back out to us. Is that okay?
Great, that's great. Thank you. And thank you for inviting me to your podcast.
You're very welcome. It's been lovely talking to you.
And you.